Hello again, this is Marxist, and this will be the final episode of my Rough Guide to Badlands. It'll be about pushing last and some other miscellaneous stuff that I didn't really cover in the other episodes, and that'll be common hiding spots and sticky traps. So I'll basically just show, probably in pictures, uh, common hiding spots, common sticky trap spots, and then you'll just know of them, know to look for them, and know how to place them down. So we'll get into the business of talking about Badlands last. So here we are on Badlands last. There are a couple things we need to talk about first before we can get into pushing, and that's, does the enemy team have Uber or not? That's essentially the question you're going to have to ask yourself before you ever push. However, we need to talk about something before we even get into that. And that's, how do we hold this area in case they want to push out on us? The first thing you do is you have your pocket up at main door, in the upper main door. He can spam around on the left and right, and he checks the doors. Also check the doors for traps. Your demo's around there as well. He should have a trap on the, somewhere around there, usually on the tops of the doors, and your medic somewhere around back here. Your pocket can build with him, or a scout can. And on the lower right, I really like having the roamer down here, and he can just deny that door like nobody's business. And he can also peek up right before pushes and shoot that shutter door to spawn, and he'll usually get a lot of good damage. You can also have your scout down here to back up your roamer, and over here you have a scout down here to watch main to make sure that nobody runs around on here. But make sure that you don't get trapped on the stairs, because if you do, you're going to take fire from two different directions, and being with your back against that wall, you're going to eat a lot of damage that you don't want to eat. Okay, so let's assume that they've got Uber. In order to push against an Uber, you can do a European style push, which I'll cover in text, or you need to get a pick or get their Uber out. So you need to run a suicide, most likely. There are a couple different things you can do with suicides, but I would encourage you to try and have it be something more than just someone running in and dying, because that's just a little bit silly. So a couple options you've got here is you can have a scout run in lower and run at the point to cause a distraction. Everybody will freak out when he's going for their point, right? So then that's when your roamer makes his move, and he spams the top of that door and attempts to kill their demo man. You could even pull your pocket into that if you really wanted to go bananas on it. Or you could have your scout run over here and back people up, and have your roamer shoot the wall and maybe damage a lot of people. You could also have your scout run left and just go with the combo, but again, that's a little silly. That may be able to give somebody an opening, however. You also have the tried and true option of bombing your roamer to get the pop out, but that's not nearly as effective against good teams, because their medic's going to be able to avoid you, and their pocket soldier's going to seriously mess your attempts up. So having run your suicide, you should now run an off class unless the Uber got out. And the most popular off class is sniper. So what you're going to do is you're going to walk up to this wall here and scope in until you're 100%. Then you peek around this wall slowly, taking care to hide your dot, which I don't really take care to do in this demonstration. Then you get against this right wall, the wall on your right, and start scooting yourself very slowly while hiding your dot to the right. You may see the medic back there by the shutter door. Otherwise, you're going to get, when you find yourself behind these barrels, you'll crouch down and slowly move to the right. Once you come near the last barrel, which you'll see that gap pass you by there, once you get close to the last barrel, take a deep breath and get ready to body shot the medic in the leg, or any other part of his body that's easily hit. And that should pretty much take care of their Uber, or scare the dickens out of them. So that's, again, the most popular option. I've seen some teams try to run their sniper up here. Pretty much every newer team does that, and that's, I mean, unless you get a fully charged headshot on their pocket, you're not going to get that, and he's probably not going to give it to you. The crouch and shoot method is so much better and more reliable. Of course, another quite popular option is to run a fat man. Now, your fat man can come from lower, he'll wait. Your team will declare that they've Ubered in, and once Ubers are over, your heavy comes out down here and mows everybody down. You can also have him go through upper, which is sort of what I like best, because it gives your heavy height advantage. And you just wait until the Ubers are over and then pop out over here. Now, your team's medic needs to know ahead of time which door your heavy intends to come out of. If it's back there, he'll back up. If it's main, then he'll jump down. So, like this, he'll jump down to the heavy, heal the heavy up for 50, boom, 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 you kill everybody. Of course, the other option is spy. In America, it's best to run cloak and dagger for this. You won't be able to do that in Europe. So, you determine which door is being spammed. Sometimes it's both, but you get in through whichever one is not being spammed. Now, there are some good hiding spots for the cloak and dagger, which are right here and right here. And those will on the back side of the point, and also back here in the hallway, sort of, behind in the stairwell up. You can also observe the medic. If he's too far to the back left, you're not going to be able to get your stab most likely, so you need to wait. You need for him to be a pretty easy target in front of you before you go to stab. You can uncloak back here or back on the stairs behind last. The main thing is you don't want them to be able to hear you, and then you need to walk up and stab. And that will pretty much be it. If you can't get to the combo for whatever reason and you're stuck in there as a spy, you can try to come over here disguised as a scout and attempt to get a demo or a heavy or something that's standing over. An entirely different way to make spy work, which I'm not going to demonstrate in a video, is to disguise yourself as a friendly off-class that's not a spy. So, as a sniper, and behave exactly as a sniper would. That'll make them think there's a sniper. So you'll show yourself in lower main or in upper as a sniper, make sure they see you, and they'll go, oh, there's a sniper. Better play as if there were a sniper. Which may make it easier for you to get in, and also easier for you to get a backstab. You can also run a heavy, which may distract them. You could... And the easiest way to do that would be to yell for medic and dance around as the heavy, and hope that they don't notice you. And that would mainly be the two ways that you would use disguising as friendlies to confuse the enemy team into maybe bunkering down and making it easier for you to get in as a spy, but you need to be sure that you re-disguise as an enemy, usually as a scout, before you would go ahead and do that. Also be mindful, because sometimes teams will off-class both their scouts, so when it comes up and shows you the player name when you disguise, make sure that that's actually a scout when you do that. Otherwise, you're going to have to pick a different disguise. Now, the less used, but I think still quite viable, is Pyro. And what you would do, or when you would use the Pyro, is when they have multiple people on their back left side. So, Demo, Soldier, Medic. You'll buff your Pyro, make sure that your pocket's checked for traps here ahead of time, and then he would just air blast them back. His goal would be to get them into the back left corner here, and then you jump away and get onto the point, blow the stickies off the point, and then blow back anybody who's trying to get on the point, and pretty much cap and win the game. So, now that we're ready to push, having run a suicide, or pulling with an off-class, we're going to push Uber v. Uber. Typically, you've got two options as far as what your pocket's going to do. You can have him Uber out left, having checked for traps the entire way, and after the Ubers are resolved, you and the medic attempt to maintain control of the top left side. Then, your Demo and Scout come out from lower main, and your medic drops down to heal them. At that point, a scout or roamer or the pocket suicide on the point, and the demo kills everyone that attempts to stop the point. Your other option is that you'll have your pocket back up after his Uber, and your demo and scout will be waiting in upper main, and you'll switch over, heal them, and they'll charge out the right side and kill basically everything that's over there. And then you have a scout or someone come from main, or the roamer from lower right, and they'll get on the point and die. And then your demo and pocket spam them from the left and right and kill everyone that attempts to stop the point. Your other option, of course, is pushing with crits. You'll bring that from lower main, and a roamer will jump on their combo to distract them, and then your demo will peek through lower main and shoot a sticky and hopefully kill the combo. If not, you need to start stickying everything imaginable to try and get at least 2 picks. Also, crit stickies on the point are pretty useful if you can manage to do that. And while all this is happening, the pocket sits behind and watches the demo quite closely. And then if anyone attempts to rush the demo, you just flash the crits onto your pocket, and he'll annihilate whatever's come to stop your demo from critsing. I would only recommend the usage of crits when you know it's going to give you an advantage, and if you use it as soon as you get it. Because if they end up popping Uber against your crits, you're probably going to die, and you're probably going to lose Spire. There's also the question of pushing lower right, and that's really, you're not going to do that unless they're a bunch down after having attempted to defend the Spire and failing, or a broken forward hold or something. Otherwise, you're just not going to push from lower right. It's too hard to get the picks and the Uber pops that you need coming from the bottom right. And it's also really easy for something bad to happen to your pocket while he comes through that door on the lower right. And now we'll talk about what to do when you have Uber advantage. Again, I'm not really going to show with a video, but you need to try and push in 3 to 4 combat classes in on your Uber. Typically, the easiest way to do that is have a scout lead in from the left and bring your pocket and demo through the left side in upper main. That scout is going to force their combo into spawn, essentially, and then you'll be able to easily go have him suicide on the point and have your demo and pocket pretty much kill everybody from their height advantage on the upper left. And also your pocket could use the rest of the Uber to kill whoever's around. You could also use chariot Ubers, where you Uber 2 scouts. That's particularly effective if they've brought out a heavy off class. And that will, the main thing about pushing when you have Uber and they don't is just make sure you bring 2 to 3 people in on the Uber, and that you charge the largest congregation of their team. So if they've got a bunch of people on the left or a bunch of people on the right, just use the Uber against them. Unless you think that their medic is really close to getting Uber, then you need to take extra special care to kill him. But if that's not the case, then just try and force them into spawn and have a scout get on the point and win the game. So now I'm going to show a compilation of hiding spots that you can use. I wouldn't encourage you to use these at every given opportunity, but occasionally it's something to throw at the other team to sort of confuse them or throw them off balance. I'm not really going to go into how you would utilize these hiding spots, but I'm going to make them known to you so that you can A, look for them, and B, utilize them yourself from time to time. Don't rely on hiding spots to get your picks, but every now and again, it's very effective. And here I'm going to demonstrate many of the common sticky traps, or at least sticky trap spots that are utilized on Badlands. Some of these have different applications. Some are offensive, some are defensive, but I'm just going to make them known to you here so that you know to look for them and how to use them yourself. And that concludes my rough guide to Badlands Last. So I hope you found it helpful. Feel free to post any comments, questions, suggestions in the comments below in the YouTube video, or contact me directly through Steam. I hope you found it to be helpful and enjoyable at times, at least. One thing I forgot to mention is something that in the American scene is called the European style Uber, or in Europe is called the recycle. So what you do there is you go ahead when it's Uber v Uber and you Uber in without any special off classes or anything, and then you get your combo out and re-push them with no Uber versus no Uber, and hope that in the chaos you're able to get a pick or two and then cap the point. You would pretty much use any of the other strategies that I've outlined after the Uber is over, so you'd have someone bait the point and then attack as normal, but it's not generally recommended because it's more likely than the other styles of last push that I've gone over to go wrong, except for when you crits against an Uber. So it's not generally recommended, but it's something that you can try out, and if your team gets good at it, it's one more thing to add to your repertoire.